Welcome to Shop Talk for Thursday, August 7th. We are right here in the middle of back to school, and we want to wish all of our teacher friends a fantastic new school year. We have a couple of things here in the shop to inspire all of us for back to school. We have our pencil tote bag from Sweet Pea Designs. This is actually an embroidery design, and then you sew the panels together. Debbie put that together for us. And then behind me, we also have a pencil quilt, and this one is called Villa Rosa's Pointless, which I think is really funny. If you visited the store lately, you have seen that we've updated the front of the store and we have the cutest little entry table. And Debbie is updating that every couple of weeks with the cutest displays. Um, Lots of fun things, just inviting and gives us somewhere different to display some of the things we have around the shop and give you some inspiration right when you walk through the door. So lots of fun stuff with that. And then for our classes this week, we really have two highlights that I wanted to get to. First, on Wednesday, August 13th, we have our first meeting for our community outreach project. This year, we are making placemats for Meals on Wheels. And we hope to have all of the placemats done by the week of Thanksgiving. We have 4 dates planned out, one each month, kind of leading up to that point, where we're just getting together and making placemats. If you want to make placemats and you don't have the time to join us on Wednesday, we'd love your help. There's really no specification around what you can make. We want them to be handmade. Here are a couple of ones that we've put together that were super simple. They came from a panel like this here. And all we had to do was quilt them and bind them, and then we were kind of done with it. So we have several different panels that have different things on them. It doesn't specifically have to be Thanksgiving driven. We just have a really cute placemats about that in the shop. And really anything goes. So if you're interested and can join us, if you will give us a call at 806-792-3863, we'll add you to our list and make sure that we're passing along the right information, and then we know kind of where we're at and how many we need to get together. And then on Thursday, the 14th, we have the first class for our Scrapples, which is our apple pie quilt that's made up of a bunch of scrap pieces. And so if you can join us for that one, we still have room in that class. Let's go take a look at the fabric we have for this week. This week's fabric comes from Figo, and it's called Sugar Pop. It's a great blend of all kinds of fun mixed of colors with the different dots and then the little hash marks on some of the fabrics. Just a really neat line of all kinds of different things that we can mix together. I really liked all the color blends and mixing everything to make my shoes. And I have here on the sides here, you can see I paste all the different fabrics together before I actually sewed the shoes together. That class is going to be coming up this fall. So if you're interested in making the quilted kicks like the shoes that I have here, if you will give the shop a call, we'll put you on our list. And when we have the dates nailed down, we'll give you a call back. This week for our Baby Lock highlight, we are talking all things needles. We have all kinds of different kinds of needles, and we're often asked what the difference is or why I would want to use one type of needle over another. So today I'm going to talk about 4 of our favorite ones. Today we're talking specifically about Schmidt's needles, and I've brought 4 different kinds to show you the difference between the 4 different needles and why you might want to use one over the other. First up, we have our universal needles. And for our universal needles, that is just our standard, everyday, every use kind of needle. Um, Here, they're all 80/12s, and that is the size of the needle. It's kind of like metric and standard. Some people like to call it an 80, some people like to call it a 12. And so that's why they give both measurements on the needles. That needle is just good for everyday use and is just a good one to always have with us. You might consider moving up to a chrome needle. The chrome needles have a chrome plating on it, and that enhances the durability of the needle. And the way that it works is that with the chrome plating, that helps the needle resist heat and wear. And so that makes the needle last longer than the universal needles. Next up, we have our Microtex needle, and it has a very sharp, fine point. And the reason that we like to use our Microtex needles, it works great on delicates and on tightly woven fabrics. So for example, on batiks, it often leaves holes in the fabric, especially if we have to rip, and you'll see the holes in the batiks. But if you'll use a sharp needle, the hole is much smaller and you don't see it pulling the fabric as bad as with some of the other needles that we've talked about. I like to use Microtex most of the time now. I just keep it in my machine instead of the universal. Lastly, we have our super non-stick needles. They have a Teflon coating, and what makes that great is the special coating prevents adhesive and sticky materials from sticking to it. Works great when we're using sticky stabilizers, such as Stick Tear Tearaway or self-adhesive dissolve-aways in embroidery. It keeps that sticky from sticking to the needle and then being drug into your machine. So those are the 4 different types that we've talked about today. All are great needles, all are great ones to have in our sewing kit, but I thought it might help that you knew the difference between the 4. One last reminder, we have our sale fabric that is currently 50% off in store through August 9th. And if you're not able to come into the store, you can find that fabric available on our website as well. Thanks so much for joining us today on Shop Talk. Welcome to Shop Talk. That's not what I say. In today's episode of Did You Know? On the standard needles, we have 2 different sizes. We have, for example, 80, and then we have the 12. For the 80, it's in metric. So that represents that the diameter of the needle is actually 0.8 millimeters wide. And that's where that number comes from. And then 12, that's the American standard. And that was developed over time based off of a British model. And they just over time developed a standard that they all used. I don't know how to say any more about the American version because it was just kind of made up.